Real quick before the show starts today, I want to welcome our newest team member to the show. His name's Eric Douglas. He's our new Chief Marketing Officer. Hey, the boy's got skills. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to the 25th Hour radio show. I am your host, Rob Fairless, and on the phone with me today is Marine Corps vet, former DEA Special Agent, and current world record holder of holding the longest male abdominal plank with a time of 8 hours, 15 minutes, and 15 seconds. I'm talking to the man himself, George Hood. Thanks for taking time out of your day to join me on the show.
My pleasure, sir. It's that was quite an introduction, and you got everything right. So
I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I got it right. Now, George, since you have a few things I want to touch on, I want to start off with your military career, then work our way forward. Okay. What made you choose to enlist in the Marines?
Well, I didn't enlist. I was enrolled in the Marine Corps officer program at my alma mater, Indiana University of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
In my hometown of Indiana, Pennsylvania. That's where I was mandated to go to college, mostly because of the cost and at the time. And I enrolled in the Marine Corps officer program, the PLC program, which hasn't changed a bit. It's 2 6-week summers down in Quantico, and then you're commissioned upon graduation. And that's what I did. Was commissioned in August of '80 and went on active duty in the fall, October of '80 when I reported to Quantico, Virginia, to the basic school, and then ultimately was assigned to the 1st Marine Division's 2nd Battalion, 7th Marines out at Camp Pendleton. And I was the first hood to go out west.
Yeah. Now, other than being, a Marine, and we all know what Marines do, what was your job while you was?
I was an infantry officer, 0302, had a platoon, and and back in the day, I was fairly a little bit behind the power curve. I was probably immature back then, more than I was a slow learner, and I tremendous opportunities. The PT, I always excelled in the PT portion of the program. Building confidence and so forth, that maybe one day I could do, amazing things. I don't know, but I had a platoon that I was responsible for and deployed to Okinawa, Japan for 6 months. And then I was only active duty for 3.5 years, and I got out and then ultimately resigned my commission as a captain in the inactive reserves 3 years later. And then because that time I was into my law enforcement career.
So I'm reading here that you're a former DEA. That's a pretty prestigious position.
Yeah, I was hired initially as an NCIS special agent. I spent about 9 years with NCIS out in Hawaii, and then also in the San Diego office. And then I ultimately transferred to DEA, where I spent about another 15 years, and then ultimately retired.
Now, did you ever have to go undercover?
Yes, that could be a subject for another day if you'd like.
I got you.
My experiences in Hawaii were quite compelling, and that'll be a separate chapter.
I got you. Makes for a longer interview, right?
Yeah, it would, because all you do is you keep asking questions. So.
I got you. So let's just go right into talk about this plank. So when were you first introduced to the exercise known as the plank?
In probably March of 2011, when I was informed by a client of mine at the gym that Guinness World Records had made the plank a standalone event, and actually it was a certifiable record that one could achieve. And I think the current record at the time was probably, it was less than an hour, and it changed hands quite a bit. So in March of 2011, I ended up said I could probably do this. So I sent my app in and was sanctioned, and proceeded to train myself to attempt it. And the plank was very new to a lot of people. The plank was a yoga thing until I came along, and after the world record attempt in 2014, I brought it mainstream into the fitness industry, and you see what it is today, all over the internet. But that first attempt was rather new to people, and in fact, it was so new that the gym across the street where I had worked as a trainer didn't want to host the event because it might be too disruptive to the membership. So I had to do it at my favorite restaurant across the street. They hosted me, and we were successful and went to an hour and 20 minutes, totally blew the media away, and the rest of the world for that matter. And that started my journey with the plank.
I guess we need to rewind here and let people know what the plank actually is. In your own words, how would you describe it?
Well, the plank is a yoga pose. Don't ask me what the official name is, but the plank has it's part of the yoga genre. When we brought it into the fitness industry, it's known as the plank. And it's a total body conditioning exercise, very static, it takes a lot of cognitive training to facilitate one's success at sustained plank. But the book that I'm writing now that's coming out probably by the end of the year, or certainly the first of the year, will speak to and make the case for plank being the best thing to cognitively tune oneself up and become better physically and mentally as a human being. We'll make that case because I've done it long enough. Nobody in the world has set as many plank records as I have. 7 of them total. 3 of them are Guinness World Records, which was this last one you referenced back in the 8:15:15 over a year ago. But the plank is just that. It's a total body conditioning exercise that really benefited me tremendously, and I would encourage all to try it. And many do. And whether it's 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, seconds turn into minutes, minutes turn into hours, hours turn into days, and days turn into weeks. It goes on from there.
So at what point did you get it in your head that you could actually break the previous Guinness record?
Every time I did the plank, there was always either somebody in the hopper that had a pending claim with Guinness World Records. So I said, okay, I'm going to set it again, just move the bar that much higher. So I wasn't just doing it just to do it. I was doing it. They were all fundraisers anyway, but there was always one I had to break or something that would cause me to do it. But the last one, obviously, my colleague in China had the record at 8:01. He and I went face to face back in 2016 over there, and I did a very respectable second place at about 7 hours and 40 minutes, which was the longest plank I'd ever held up to that time, and that was quite a battle. And he ended up taking it to 8:01. And I knew that with training, I had passed the 8:01 mark several times in training after that fact. In fact, I set an international world record for the plank at 9 hours, 11 minutes, and 1 second, 9:11:01 on Veterans Day in San Diego on the USS Midway back in 2016. That was iconic. That got a lot of attention. So at that point, I had surpassed his record, but it wasn't the Guinness World Record. So,
what's the difference there? What's the difference in the international and the Guinness?
Well, a Guinness World Record, and this is my interpretation of it to make it easy for folks. Guinness World Records are proprietary. Any other record sanctioning body is just that. You obtain a record, and it's applicable across the board. Okay. Guinness World Records stand alone. I equate it sometimes to the Olympics. When you watch the Olympics and you watch the swimmers or you watch the track folks run their meets, you always see 2 times displayed at the end of that particular event. You'll see a WR for world record, and you'll see an OR for Olympic record, which means that the time obtained is specific to the Olympics. You see, they have their own set of records. You follow me?
I got you. So the Guinness record would be the top, right? Am I right about that?
It can be. Depends how it's promoted and marketed. And I'll be quite honest with you. I've set so many records in my career, 13 of them to be exact, in 17 attempts. Nobody cares anymore. As long as
I got you. Yeah, okay.
It's like when you go for your training, you go to your CPR, you can get it at the fire station, you can get it at the local gym, you can get it at your school, you can get it at the library, you can get it at your hospital, you can get it at the fire department. A credential is a credential is a credential.
The one that I seen, right? We're talking about the 8-hour mark that you hit.
Yep.
Now, I watched a little bit of it on YouTube. It looks like you had a ton of eyes on you while you were going for the record. Do you think that helped you, hurt you, or none of the above, having all those people?
No, it's absolutely required. We have to. That's why I make them kind of an event. I need that energy. That's a pool of energy that I draw on quite substantially throughout the event, because I'm in a static pose, so I look for stuff to pull. To draw on, whether it's people watching me or the media always helps, and we always get a pretty good media following. But I need that, and I that with my music, it makes me feel really, really good. And because otherwise, if I get bored, that can be very toxic.
What kind of music?
Rock.
Gotcha.
You remember back in the day when I remember back in Pittsburgh when Bachman Turner Overdrive or AC/DC would roll into Three Rivers Stadium. It's no longer there. They'd pack that stadium full of 60,000 people plus. They'd put their semis out there in the parking lot. They'd be up on the stage in their blue jeans and their T-shirts, just jamming away. And every time I watch that, I always wish I could just be up there for just one set. Let me play that guitar for one set. Let me be the lead guitar player in Van Halen or whatever, man. It's power.
Just let you get up there and jam with them.
Yeah, just let me just do it. I mean, people do it now just when they're in the shower, but that energy that I draw from that kind of environment, it really helps me. And the crowd likes my music. I'm known for my music.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, the playlists on my YouTube channel are just they're endless, thousands of songs on there, and you'll see it goes through the years, but all that music on there has a place in my success, a rather huge place. And there's a Christian component too as well. I have a lot of Christian music I play just at the right time.
Awesome.
That really can inspire me. Absolutely.
Now, did breaking the record break you a little bit? How long did it take you to recover?
That last one was pretty. Because we were going to break the addiction, I call it, that I had to the plank, and by knocking out those push-ups afterwards, and the soreness that set in. This took about 3 or 4 days to recover, just because it's a total body soreness, and as long as I feel that after each major event like that, that's what you want. That way, everything was in sync. There's not one side that's more sore than the other. Not one. Everything's fine. And so you just have to just abstain from physical activity. I would go on the treadmill and move my legs, walk, stuff like that. But you got to let the body has to heal literally from the inside out.
Little active recovery.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Hey, yeah. Now, do you have any more records you have your eyes on?
Well, I made an attempt at the push-up record. I was going to segue from the plank into the most push-ups in an hour. And was good to go. We did it down at a place in Boca Raton, and a gym that's hosted by the Marines down there. And they had talked to me on a podcast or something after that event, and I went. They offered to host me, so I went down there. We got tremendous press coverage, and I got up there on that platform, and it just wasn't going to be my day. But I gave it one hell of an effort, and quite frankly, nobody in the audience, nobody in the crowd. We had a great crowd. It was a beautiful sunny day. Nobody was counting anyway, so they just wanted to see how many push-ups a 63-year-old guy could do in an hour. But I knew that it wasn't going to be my day. And here's the difference between me and what sets me apart from just about anybody else you might get on your show. When I have that feeling it's not going to be my day, and this was my 4th time in 17 attempts that's happened. Lessons are learned, and you never really lose. But I showed up, and I did my thing. I did what I had practiced. I did what I had been showing the world for the last year and a half, what I was doing. I was putting it out there. And, push-ups, my monthly totals, I went over 1 million by the end of the year, 1,030,000, something like that. So I broke the 1 million mark, which is what I wanted. But, we gave it our best. And most guys, if they're not feeling it, their manager would come out and say, you know what, we're having a bad day today. We're just we're gonna stand down from this particular attempt, and we'll come back another day. Just get a hold of us later. And they wouldn't try. But I let people into my world. I open up everything, and there's no guarantees, but it's just what I do. I show up and let people see, and they see. Sometimes this was a great example where you don't fail. You gave it your best. Hell, we raised additional money for the charity, the Wounded Veterans Fund down there in Florida. Hell, it was and then we get tremendous media coverage.
So it was a success, no matter what.
Absolutely. This one, by far, compared to any other ones, but this one was tremendous. We had a great PR from Blue Ivy Communications down there. Melissa Perlman, she latched on to me, and she knew exactly what to write, and we told the story, and people had respect. And I walked out of there, I'm sore, but but we knocked out 1,775 push-ups in the hour.
So what do you do for a living nowadays? Are you retired? Are you still working?
I'm retired. I have a couple clients I train. Long-term folks. It's kind of elite fitness type training. It's focusing on ultimately weight loss and strength and training and conditioning and kind of getting folks to realize their potential and the confidence in certain things that I've done. I'm known for putting different combinations of exercises together, and let's just see how long you can go. I have a saying, clock on, means when you're on my clock, you're on the clock. You have so much time to get stuff done, and you got to make goal as if your life depended on it. You know, it's kind of a mission, and I get people to start thinking about that, open up their minds and get their mindset focused on things like, I can do this. I can make it work for me. I can inspire my kids, you know, that kind of stuff. And ultimately inspire the world.
I think you're doing that.
It comes pretty easy. I am, brother. I mean, I'm rather modest. I mean, nobody owns me. I'm not bought and paid for by any kind of a company or anything like that. I'm just George Hood, who does his best at what he does and tries to do his best. And I have 3 sons that have, they've all gotten law enforcement careers now, and they know what Dad does, because their bosses will often come to him and say, "Is that your dad that's got that blank record? We just saw that on the news." Huh. It's kind of cool, but no, it gets me. And hell, I mean, sometimes it's just inspiring. So many people reach out with their little planks that they do, and to them it means a lot. And I have a hard time. I try to engage everybody, but it's hard sometimes because their messages only stay on there for like a day or so, and then they disappear. So, but I'm grateful that people reach out. I try to respond to those that are serious and are enthusiastic about what they're doing. But yeah, I have people all over the world that know what I do and what I'm capable of.
So speaking of that, and I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but speaking of that, where can people go and find you on social media? Do you have your own preferred platform?
Yeah, Instagram. It's fairly fluid, and that kind of works for me. I post there. It's always a pain in the rear end to try to, post stuff up there, and videos and so forth. And but I get content, enough content up there to keep it busy and active so that people know what I'm up to, and they can see some of the combination drills that I do to train. And it's all core based. It's all core based from the plank, and it digresses from there. All the supplemental exercises that support the plank, and of course one of those is push-ups. But the leg lifts, nobody does more leg lifts in an hour with a client than I do. Uh-huh. You're talking over 3,000.
They're hurting. They're hurting when they leave.
Well, yeah, but that's what they want. They want that. They want those results, and I'm living proof of it. I walk around and they'll tell me, they want to look like me, or they want to eat like me, and so I say, well, let's go. Let me see what you got, and then they stick around, and then that's what I'm looking for. It's about relationships. I can't save the world, Roger. Seriously, I can't save the world, but boy, I might die trying.
Man, short and sweet is how I do it here on the 25th Hour Radio Show. You got any final words of wisdom you want to share with my listeners before we close the show out? Anything you want to plug or mention that I might have forgot?
Yeah, I just want your folks to take away from this interview, that this is reality, this is real life, and do not be afraid to try to be your best. Don't settle for being average. And your past and your failures have nothing to do with how you can do tomorrow. Nobody cares what you did last year. Nobody cares. But they do care about what you're doing today and how that's going to help you tomorrow. You follow me?
That's true.
And these folks have value out there. They sense their value. They dig deep and try hard and just be successful in your own right. And then when they are, they let me know about it.
Well, George, man, thanks again for doing this, and congratulations on the world record, the international record. I'm sure you've inspired many, many people in doing so.
Well, it's a pleasure being able to talk to you and share the story. It's therapeutic to some extent.